to lesson 12 for us. So now we're talking about the more difficult way of factoring when a is not 1. So that means we have a number here, 3, a 2, a 5, something out in front. Now you still need to, or still want to, try to make your life easier and see if you can GCF. If you can GCF, cool. Then do it, and then you don't have it. Maybe a is 1 now. Maybe it is something simple. Okay, but we'll just see that maybe it's not going to be. So just looking at these, for example, if I FOILed these out, so these are going to be the answers today. These are the answers. So if that's what happens, then you kind of understand that this equals this, so then that comes back to that for factor. So if I go ahead and just FOIL this, 6x squared, 8x, 3x, 4. 6x squared plus 11x plus 4 factors to this. That's what we're focusing on today, that last piece. What's that? Yep.
Haven't we already done this?
We have not. We've done this. Yeah, we've FOILed before.
No, we've changed it from that to that before, right?
No, you have not. You've done grouping, which you're going to recognize. So you guys kind of saw a piece of it. What happened was, this is all good points, so good job by you guys in the back.
Thank you.
Okay, we've grouped. We've been given the 4, and we've grouped before. Okay, but however, we've never done the first step. Okay, there's a first step that you're going to have to do to be able to break it into 4. So some of you guys are correct in that you've gotten these as answers before, but they gave it to you already in the easy part, not the hard part, I would say. Okay. Okay, so the next one, if I FOIL that out, 12x squared, 9x, negative 8x, negative 6, 12x squared plus x minus 6 is what it simplifies to. That would factor to, again, this group here. Okay, so let's consider the following problem. What are the factors of 2x squared plus 7x plus 6? We need to find two binomials whose products are that. So we're going to look at the algebra tiles first, again, just for the visual aid. So if we want to arrange the algebra tiles, okay, hopefully you only have to do this once. Yeah, sorry, the camera still, I have to turn my sound off my computer in a second. Okay, so right as how it is an expression, so this is 2x squared here, 1x squared, 2x squared. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, which we already know this from earlier, and then plus 6. That's 6 right there. So it says arrange them so that it's a perfect rectangle. If you had the pieces, it's just easier to just like go ahead and like try to figure out how you would do it. But it would force you to break it into 3 and a 4. Yep. What's after the 2? 2x squared plus 7x. So it's 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. Yep. Okay, so that's what it would look like as a rectangle if you arranged it in a rectangular form. Again, like how do you figure that out? It's just kind of like almost like a puzzle. You're just trying to see how it would fit best. A lot of times you want to group the ones together because they usually fill in the leftover space. So that's what they do here. And so you can see that this one works out to be x and 2. And then here, 2x and 3. So that's what it is factored. X plus 2, 2x plus 3. And that's what you'd write for C as well. Okay. We're going to look at one more algebra tile, and then we'll get away from those. That's how you do it with algebra tiles. That's correct. With algebra tiles? No. We're going to learn the way without algebra tiles, which is what you'll use the most. What's that? If you want to, you can use them if you want to. It's not a problem. Okay, so, all right, so we'll try this one. 5x squared plus 7x plus 2 using algebra tiles. Okay, so let's just think about this for a second. Some of you guys are thinking it's just kind of maybe more of a magic trick. Okay, but it's not. So the last one we just did was 2x squared. What are the different options for 2x squared in terms of multiplying to get a 2? What are the different options in terms of multiplying to get a 2? This is confusing because it's just 2 and 1. It's just 2 and 1. 2 times 1, that's the only option for getting 2. Correct? That's why 2 is actually a prime number. Okay? All right, so if you're doing this one, if you're arranging those algebra tiles, the thing I was trying to point out before we were interrupted was 5x squared only has one option, 5 and 1. So that means that all those x squares have to be lined up in a line of 5. Because that's the only option for multiplying to get 5 you have, is 5 times 1. What do you mean? Well, this is 5x's, right? This is 1x. I can't put a 2 and a 3 here because what's 3 times 2? 6. So this is the only way you could line those up. Now you have to figure out where you're going to put your 7x's. Well, I know 5 will probably be here. That means 2 will be here.
It doesn't say to put in a rectangle, though.
Right. It doesn't say that. So I don't know how else you would do it, but you have to put in a rectangle in order to factor the algebra tiles. Because making a rectangle makes it factors, because it's multiplication in terms of area. Okay, so there you go. So you have your x squareds, 5 of them. Your x's, 7 of them. And your 1's, 2 of them. So what we have is we have 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. We have 5x plus 1, 2. 5x plus 2 is one factor, and then x plus 1 is the other factor. If you'd like to. You'll never be written that way in your book, though. No, that's fine. Totally can. All right, so if we come back to this part now, so we're kind of getting away from the algebra tiles, and we're going to start talking about the next pieces. So this is a review. So this might be what you were talking about earlier, Aiden. This is the stuff you have seen. This is the grouping. So this is where we said when you have 4 terms, it's best to group them in GCF each.
Junior class change.
This is vital in order to do decomp. Today's lesson, today's method is called decomposition. So we call it decomp for short. So if we go through our things really quickly, out loud, 1 was GCF, 2 was inspection, 3 Friday was difference of squares, and 4 today is decomp. Okay? So those are the 4 methods you have in your arsenal to do factoring with. Okay? So this right here is the factor by grouping, which is part of decomp, which you'll find out today. So what do we do here? 6x squared plus 3x has a 3x in common. That's 2x plus 1. They have a 4 in common. That's 2x plus 1. Those match, which makes it a factor. Then you push these together. It's a plus. So that we just factored that by grouping. Okay, we've already done that, so that hopefully that looks familiar. Yes, sir. Oh, yep.
Can you go a bit slower?
Sure.
Just thank you.
Okay. So anything you want me to explain again?
Well, can you go over that question again?
Sure. Okay, so we'll go over this one again. So when we have 4 terms, when we did our very first 2 sections for GCF, we talked about factoring by grouping them into groups of 2. So we grouped them into groups of 2, and we looked for the GCF out of each section. These guys have an x in common, so I pulled an x out, and a 3 in common, so I pulled a 3 out. 6 divided by 3 is 2. I had 2 x's, I took 1 out, I have 1 left. 3 divided by 3, x divided by x, that whole thing is 1, not 0, because we took the whole thing out. We still have to have a 1 to hold the place. Here, 8 and 4 had a 4 in common. 8 divided by 4 is 2. We keep the x on it. 4 divided by 4 is a 1. Okay? Yep. Absolutely. Appreciate you letting me know. Yes, Aiden?
Where did 3x and the 4 go?
Where did it go? They became the other factor.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We pushed that together for our other factor. Yep. Yep, we did learn this. It's in your first 2 lessons. Okay, anything else? So let's look at the second one. So look at the second one. 12x squared and 9x again have a 3x in common. 12 divided by 3 is 4. x2, I took an x out. I have an x. 9 divided by 3 is 3. X came out, so it's 4x plus 3. Now I told you this when we had the other lesson. I remember specifically putting this in my notes. When the first one, when you have a negative x, you take out a negative number. So they both have a negative 2 in common. We do that because negative 8 divided by negative 2 is positive 4. Now we're happy. We're in the same spot. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is a positive 3. They match now. So we divide it by a negative 2. Again, when do you take negative, when don't you? Take a negative if the x term is negative. Okay, this guy here, the second one. If that's negative, take a negative. If it's not, don't. Generally, we'll never take a negative for this one. Okay, because we're going to be dealing mostly with positive x squares. So 4x plus 3 is a factor. Push the other two together. So that 4x plus 3 and the 3x minus 2. So the only thing we need to touch up on now is the first step. Okay, if you can do this, the first step gets you here, and then you're done with decomp. Okay, so that's what this is explaining here. It says factoring ax squared plus bx plus c using method of decomposition. So in warm-up, we factored these. Okay, we got that. No problem. But what we need to do is figure out how can we take this. So when we FOILed it out, we got that. But we really want to leave it like this. Because if we leave it like that, it has how many terms? 4, exactly. And if it has 4, we can group and then do the GCF. That is the method of decomp. So we have to figure out, well, how can we get that? Well, in order to factor it, we must split 11x to 3x plus 8x. If you're saying why? Well, we want to split it so we have 4. Because is 3 plus 8 11? So we're not changing the function. Okay, it's 3 plus 8, 11. Yep.
How do you know which numbers to add up?
That's what we're getting to. Okay. How do we know to split 11x to 3 and 8 rather than 2 and 9, right? Or to 1 and 10? Because it's going to be a factor of a times c. A times c. A is the first number, c is the last number. What's 6 times 4? What factor of 24 get me 11? 3 and 8. It's the game we've already been doing. Yep. A times front times the back. Break it up into those factors. That's the hard part, yeah. So if you got that, we're going to be in good shape. What's that? Too much stuff? We're not even, guys, we're not even close to being done taught. I'm not saying go fly yet. That's the first explanation. Just relax. Okay. Hurry up, have a seat. Okay, so then this one here, the second one, we factored this one down to here. We wanted to have it 9x and negative 8. Well, that's a little bit harder because it's a negative, and this is why. You get 12 times negative 6. 12 times negative 6 is negative 72. It's still the same game that we played before. By that, I'm talking about our warm-up today. Factors of 72 that are 1 apart. That's 8 and 9. That's a positive, so which one's positive? The 9, yeah, and so that's why we break it into that. Okay? So again, we haven't got to the actual examples yet, so just relax. This is the pre-get ready. How are numbers 8 and 3 connected to the value? We just talked about this already. So 24 is 8 times 3, and also 8 plus 3 is the 11 that was the middle. We just talked about the second part as well. How is 9 negative 8 connected? Okay, because 9 times, 9 times negative 8 equals negative 72. 9 plus negative 8 is 1. We get 72. What was the numbers on that one? Was it 6 times what? What was the front and back numbers? Negative 6 and 12. Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right, so let's do some examples here. You'll see the whole process here, Raj. Okay, so the whole process. First thing, 2. Can I pull a 2 out? Nope, the 7 says no. 7's prime. So I'm ready to do that every time, guys. Every time I want to check GCF first. Every time. Okay? To check GCF? Because your first step in factoring is the greatest common factor. Yeah, so that's why. The reason being, in terms of how it could benefit you, Ollie, is if this had an 8, if I took a 2 out, I don't have to do decomp anymore. I can just do regular factoring. My life's going to be easier. Okay? So here we go. The first step. So first step. A times C, or in front times back. 2 times 6, 12. Second step. Factors, whoops. Uh-oh, sorry. Factors to break into the middle. Right, so the middle's 7, so we want to do 12 to be 4 and 3. Okay, that's correct. Factors to break into the middle, or break middle into. Maybe that's better in English. Break middle into, sorry, it's probably better. So we're taking the 4 and the 3, and we're taking the 7, and we're splitting it up to a 4 and a 3, so we have 4 terms. It doesn't matter where you put the 4 and the 3. I say put it next to numbers that are like similar. So like 2 and 4 and 6 and 3 are probably better together, but that won't make it right or wrong. It just makes your job a little easier. Okay, so I'm going to go 2x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 6, and now we're going to group. So this whole first step and second step, what we just got down to was so we can get to the part we know how to do. So third step, which is the last step, GCF each group. What's that? It's more of just the being consistent, not messing up is the hard part, I think. Okay, so now we GCF. That has a 2x in common, so 2x comes out. So 2x comes out. That's going to be x plus 2. 3 comes out. X plus 2. And we're done. 2x plus 3. X plus 2. Yep.
It doesn't matter what order you put it in.
Correct. The middle does not matter what order you put it in.
No, like just 2x plus 2.
Nope, that doesn't matter either. Yep. X plus 2, they're the factors. It's a good question. Doesn't matter which order your factors are in. Okay. So now this one here, we're going to go 5 times 2. That's 10. Factors of 10 that add to 7 is actually 5 and 2. So we break that up. First one's a 5x. Second one's a 2. You can see x plus 1's a factor, and so is 5x plus 2. Yeah, Maddie? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I did 5x squared plus 2x, and then I can't.
Yeah, so, okay, so let's just do it. Oh, sorry, I'll switch it up to how she wrote it. So she wrote 5x squared plus 2x, and she put plus 5x plus 2. Okay, that's totally fine. So all you can take out of here is a what? An x. All you can take out of here is a what? Nothing. So if you don't take anything out, it's a 1. 5x plus 2 matches. X plus 1 comes together. Yep, still can do it that way. Just got to make sure if you don't pull anything out, you recognize it as a 1. You guys got that? If you do not pull anything out, you recognize it as a 1. Okay. Okay, try these 3 on your own. I'll give you some time here. I'll pause the video, so try those through on your own. The first thing on these we have to do right, okay, is everybody here can multiply. Everybody should have these on the side right away. There should be no issues doing this step. That's step 1 of decomp. Okay? Now from there, the hard part is understanding what you're doing. You're taking 17 and breaking it into 2 factors using your factoring knowledge from inspection or your sheets in your warm-up. Factors of negative 18 get you 17. Whenever it's 1 off, it's going to be that number and 1. So it's going to be 18 and negative 1. The reason I know that, this times this is negative 18. 18 plus a negative 1 is 17. Okay? So here I go, 6x squared plus 18x minus x minus 3. I'm going to group. This is what's giving people the issue, the negative. That's why we're working on it. Okay? They both have a 6x in common. So I pull a 6x out, I get x plus 3. Whenever this is negative, you're going to pull at least a negative 1. And in this case, that's all you can pull out. I like to write minus 1 like this. You can just write a negative if you want. But I like to actually see what I'm doing in terms of what number's there. So it looks like that now. Because I took a negative out, that just flipped both signs. They were both negative, now they're both positive, which is good because now it matches. So I have x plus 3 as a factor, and I have 6x minus 1 as a factor. And I'm done. Okay? Let's keep going over these two. Okay, negative 24. Factors of negative 24, they're 2 apart, would be 6 and 4. It's a negative 2, so I want a negative 6. 3n squared minus 6n plus 4n minus 8. Again, doesn't matter where you put these. I put the 6 because 6 and 3 goes better than 4 and 8. Take a 3n out to start. N minus 2. Take a 4 out. N minus 2. And we're done. 3n plus 4. N minus 2. Got it right? Nice work. All right. So, Raj. It's not funny. I'm just asking Raj for a question. Okay, so Raj, look at this one, right? Yeah. So I got 12 from 12 times 1. Yeah. What factors of 12 add up to 8? So, no, don't listen to Ollie. No, just, so 12, so here's your factors. Guys, please be quiet. 12 and 1, 6 and 2, 4 and 3. Which of those combos add up to 8? Let him focus, please. 6 and 2. Thank you. So 6 and 2. Now, since this is negative, they're both negative. Okay, that's what makes a positive 12. 12x squared minus 6x minus 2x plus 1. I took this negative 8, I broke it up into 2 terms. Now we group, and we GCF. Okay, so Spencer, what's 12x squared and 6x have in common? X and a 6. Good. 2x minus 1. Okay, good. Travis, what's a negative 2x and a positive 1 have in common? Right, so you're right. They really don't have anything in common, but we're going to take a negative 1 because I said if your x is negative, take out at least a negative 1. So there we are. Now we're done. These match. We're happy. We push the other two together. And you factored it using Decomp. Okay, we'll do the next two together. They put the things in a different order, but we still follow the same process. Okay, we still follow the same process. So let's look here. We have these two and one more set of 2.
These are actually not fun.
Good, good. More like puzzles.
Yeah. Not that I like puzzles.
All right, so even though this is in a different order, what's my A? Okay, it's just a number. Okay, A is negative 2. A is negative 2. Okay, 15 is C. So that's my A and my C here. A is always in front of the term squared. C is always the constant. So negative 2 times 15 is negative 30. So now I'm thinking of factors of negative 30 that are 7 apart. Hopefully 10 and 3 jumps to your mind. Negative 10 and 3, it's a negative 10 because I have a negative 7. So here we go. I'm going to go 15. I'm going to put the 3 at the 15. 15 plus 3y, group, minus 10y, minus 2y squared, group. 15 and 3 have a 3 in common. 5 plus y. Negative 10y and negative 2y squared have a negative 2y in common. 5 plus y. So even though it looks different, I still get the same 5 plus y, 5 plus y, so that's a factor. Three minus 2y is pushed together. Okay, did I do anything confusing there? Is there any questions on that one? We okay? Okay, we haven't been reminding yourselves, but look at B. What can I do to B?
GCF.
Girl. GCF, 5 in all of them. Greatest common factor. Okay, if you didn't, that's probably why you got big numbers. You're like 150, you're probably, holy moly, it's big.
No, I wasn't that bad.
Okay, if it was still easy, you're fine. GCF just makes it a little bit like cleaner numbers. So what I mean by cleaner, I'm dealing with negative 6 and you're dealing with 150. Okay, so it totally is fine. Okay,
So, like, if
you're still fine.
Okay.
Yep, you're still fine. All right. All right, so negative 6 broken down is going to be 3 and negative 2. The 5 just hangs out. I will tell you one thing you do have to do at the end of yours. Okay, 3k squared plus 3k minus 2k minus 2. 3k is k plus 1. Negative 2 becomes k plus 1. Okay, but you still aren't going to be all the, the last one, yeah. Okay, so then we have these pushed together is 3k minus 2. The k plus 1's matched. And then you carry the 5 down. Okay, so that's your final answer. So make sure those of you guys do the other way, you have to pull a 5 out of one of your factors. One of your factors has a 5 in common. Okay, so you have to make sure you pull the 5 out to finish it off. That's the only difference between me GCFing first and then you guys GCFing last. Okay, I forget which one it lines up in, but this one? Is it 15 minus 10? Okay, so if you have this 15k minus 10, you have to recognize 15 and 10 as 5s and pull a 5 out.
Oh, do you have to pull 5 out?
Yeah, because it'll be minus half points, it's not fully simplified. Okay? Or moral of the story is just GCF first. Okay. Okay. All right, I'll just keep going. If you don't hear me, you don't hear me. Okay, so this one here is 2 variables. Okay, same process. 2 times 2 still, that's still my C. I know I said with a constant, but with 2 variables, it's going to be the one, just the other variable. 2 times 2 is 4. That's going to make it negative 4, negative 1. With 2 variables, it's going to be a good test question because it makes sure that you know your steps. Okay, so 2x squared minus 4xy minus xy plus 2y squared. If you're saying, why do I have xy? Because that's what my middle is. My middle is xy's, as they tell me it is. So I still GCF. 2x squared minus 4xy. I have a 2x in common. X minus 2y is what's left. 2 divided by 2, x2 took an x out. 4 divided by 2, I took that x out, the y stayed. Next one. I'll wait. Yep, negative y. Always take a negative if this term's negative. Negative y.
If you didn't take the negative out, would you get the same answer?
Nope, because if you don't take negative out, you're going to have negative x plus 2y.
But then if you like flipped it, like the
That's taking a negative out. No special rules. It's pretty straightforward with factoring. It's a pattern that must be satisfied. Okay? Questions? All right. Try B. I'll give you some time to try B. Oops. Okay, so finishing this last one, just a really good point, guys. The thing you can help yourself with signs. See how this is a plus? Without you remembering what's down here, I know they have to be the same sign. Why? Because a negative times a negative is a positive times a positive is a positive. That's why these are both negatives. Because negative times negative is a positive. If I come over here, that's a negative, so my signs are going to be different in this answer. Okay? That comes back to inspection. Okay? Caleb, please stop. Okay? So we have 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. Okay? We have negative 10 and 3 are my breakdowns, or my breakups if you want, because that makes a negative 7. 2n squared minus 10nm grouped plus 3nm minus 15m squared grouped. Since we grouped them, okay, 2 here. 2 came out, n squared took an n out, there's an n left. 5m. Okay. Now we're hoping the other side matches. So I'm going to take a 3m out. 15 divided by 3 is 5. I took 1m out, so I have 1m left. If they match, we're done. Okay. Sounding good?
Yeah.
All right.